Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 23, another 7 curious interesting things I saw last week. So let's crack on. The first one is Tesla. Now obviously Tesla are in the news all the time, but this one is not Bitcoin related, so that's a relief. And this is actually about their trademark for restaurants. So this started back in 2018 when there was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke and nobody quite sure whether it was an April Fool's joke, where Elon Musk was talking about kind of roller skating, drive-through restaurants, those sorts of things. Now it turns out actually he wasn't really joking. It has got plans afoot. So this is going to be at one location at a supercharger somewhere in Los Angeles. We don't know where just yet, but if you read the trademark, it's all about basically trademarking a restaurant drive-through experience. Probably going to be with a third party. He's probably not going to go into the restaurant business wholeheartedly. However, obviously Tesla's method of operation, or MO, is really it seems to be to take over all the major tenets of human life. So things like transport, energy, space exploration, those sorts of things, health even. So with his Neuralink, for instance. So this is just the next one. This is food. So you may not see one of these anywhere soon, but Tesla's going into restaurants, so there you go. Neural actor generation. Now this is not fantastically new. This is probably about 3 or 4 years old as a concept, but this is the latest iteration of it. This is the state of the art. So this is actually out of the Max Planck Institute. Uses Facebook AI, for instance. So what's going on here is in the bottom left-hand corner you can see a reference dancer making some moves, and that is automatically being converted into a skeletal animation, and that is therefore being dynamically applied to these kind of 3D human forms. So you can essentially puppet characters directly from an input performance. Obviously this is not new. If you are in mocap, for instance, then you can use a green screen and ping pong balls and all that sort of stuff, but this is super easy to do. The characters themselves are filmed from every angle, so you can actually generate all the 3D data. Would actors in the future be replaced by this? Well, of course they would. It's happening right now. It has been for ages. That's what CGI is. However, I think this is going to be really useful for animators, for instance, because they can just do the performance and map it straight away. Great for crowd scenes, that sort of thing. But yes, this is going to get more important and more prevalent in the movie industry. The Apple event is happening on the 7th of June, possibly maybe even have happened by the time you watch this. However, the WWDC event, as it's called, is the Developers Conference. Now they usually unveil sort of more nerdy stuff, platform stuff, capabilities of devices, those sorts of things. So they don't tend to unveil new bits of kit as such. So what developers do is they tend to have a sniff around a lot of the pre-launched code that may be sort of giving people a little bit of a hint about what's going on. And Chaos Tian, who's a developer, has noticed a new library that's appeared. So without going into too much nerdy detail, what you can see on the right hand side is a list of libraries or bundle IDs. So you've got com.apple.mind. Now Mind looks like a new feature. So we don't know what that is, but if we were having a little bit of a bet, we'd probably say that's something to do with mindfulness on the Apple Watch, because it's part of the sort of the nano APIs or the libraries. So that might be something coming to an Apple Watch relatively soon. If you're not going to watch the Apple Developers Conference, then check in a week, see if that was actually what happened. But so that's interesting, with Apple going into potentially mental health or mindfulness via the Apple Watch. That might be happening. So this is the lock-picking lawyer. Now the point of this segment is, what did I see last week that was interesting? Well, I've been waiting for this video for a good 4 months, and it seems as have a huge amount of people, and that surprised me. So relatively niche area, which is lock picking, for instance. So this is the lock picking lawyer, has a YouTube channel with several million viewers, subscribers, and also there is another channel which is called Stuff Made Here, and it's a sort of a creative developer engineer who just makes wacky and interesting things. So for instance, the pool table that can pot every single ball that you hit, for instance, those sorts of things. So he decided to create an unpickable lock, and obviously everybody then said, well, the lock-picking lawyer should try and pick it. So that then set up one of the biggest kind of showdowns in recent YouTube. So that happened last week. It was one of the videos I watched, and I just couldn't help notice it had 4.6 million views in a week. So that's right up there with, you know, the likes of a PewDiePie video or Kids Diana show, for instance, which is I think the second largest YouTube channel. So the videos that those guys kick out are also on this level. So naturally, if you're a media buyer, if you want to do a sponsorship deal, you'll probably go to the top YouTubers and have a look at all of their videos, whereas you might not have thought of lockpicking and lawyers and stuff made here. So just really interesting. If you've not watched the video, I doubt you have, but it is definitely worth watching. It's quite funny and very tongue-in-cheek as well. So there you go. Main point is, the videos that you're probably sponsoring if you're in sponsorship are maybe not the ones that you should be concentrating on. There you go. So Twitter Blue, so this is Twitter's first foray into subscription services. If you ask me for a review of it, I'd say it's a little bit lame, but there you go. It's launching in Canada and Australia at the moment, and I think as you can see in the description, it's $3.49 in Canada and $4.49 in Australia per month. So it's not exactly expensive, but it's, you know, as with all these subscriptions, they all think they're doing a low subscription, but as a consumer, if we've got 10 of those, all of a sudden that's $50 a month. So what do you get for your $4-ish? Well, you get some relatively lame features. If you want to put all your bookmarks in folders, now you can. If you want to read threads slightly nicer, which is what you can see on the right hand side, it just removes a little bit of the user interface, and they're just easier to read as you scroll through them in sort of reader mode. But the main one probably is the one in the middle, which is you can set to add a delay to your tweet. I think it's 30 seconds or something like that, so that it won't, when you send your tweet, it'll show it you on screen so you can then read it again. Because as you or I know, if you've ever used Twitter or any sort of social media, as soon as you press send, that's when you notice the typo. So it of course doesn't do the change word, which is what we're all after, the edit my tweet, because you can't really do that for various reasons. You know, if you ask everybody for a vote on which is the most important thing, comment below, and they all comment, and you change your tweet, then all sort of chaos will ensue. So that's why you'll probably never get an edit tweet button on Twitter for good reasons. So yeah, so Twitter Blue, keep an eye on that. Not really sure what we were expecting from that, but I was kind of expecting an ad-free version for that price, but obviously we're not going to get that just yet. McDonald's, this is obviously the second restaurant-related Dinosaw this week. They're actually going to port AI, or at least kind of a Siri/Alexa voice style ordering in some drive-through restaurants. So this is going to be in Chicago in 10 restaurants. So you will rock up and you will then give your order to a voice assistant, essentially. So really weaponizing voice assistants for retail. Now it's apparently 85% accurate, so there will be obviously humans around to pick up the slack, but it's obviously going to cater for at least 85% of every order that comes through. This is in the same week that McDonald's have said they're going to up their minimum wage, etc. So, coincidence? Obviously, people thinking, well, all the jobs are going to be going. Well, I said, well, no, we're going to pay you a little bit more. So if you do work for us, then you're going to get more. However, I thought the most interesting thing about this was the CEO, when asked about this, said, yeah, expect to see this as the main interaction, or at least very prevalent within 5 years. It's not going to be there immediately, but within 5 years, one can imagine many drive-thrus having this and being a common feature at McDonald's. So you can see where that is going. There you go. And finally, a bit of a mind bender, this one. So this is a game called ViewFinder, and it's a UK sort of games company, but with lots of sort of international contributors, as they say. So this uses a Polaroid camera where you take photos. You keep those photos because you might need them later to solve things. So as you can see here, you take a photo, you can print that photo out and then stick it to the real world, and that real world can then become a 3D part of the world again. There's a lot. I've put the entire video in here. This is the demo video because it just gets weirder and weirder and more mind-bending and more mind-bending. So now we've seen this sort of thing before. So Maquette, for instance, you played that, which was kind of called recursive mechanics, and there was also Superliminal as well, which used this sort of technique, but this takes it a little bit further as well. Lots and lots of formats in this, as you can see here. So you can go through 8-bit worlds, You can also sort of you know, regenerate scenes like this. So you go, well, that looks a bit weird. Maybe if I look at it from a different perspective. So there's a few of these games where you change your perspective to reveal new puzzles, and this is the latest one, but it's a little bit of a cut above the rest. So only a demo at the moment, but it just shows you, if you're still playing Mario and you're thinking that's the state of the art, then this is going to be a bit of a mind bender. So there you go. So with that, we are done. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will speak to you next week.